Okay, thank you so much for joining the live. Just give me 1 second here. We're starting now. I just lost track of this, the screen. Sorry, I just not seeing correctly. Okay, so I see now. I see correctly. So thank you so much for joining. This is usual Thursday multi-platform live stream. For YouTube, mainly YouTube, and then TikTok. If Trump's TikTok, viewers. So for those of you who's joining, welcome. We're about to start now. Now today's topic is on Trump immigration preview. Some of you just joining now. Every Thursday, 5 p.m. Central Time, I have a live stream, multi-platform for our TikTok and then YouTube users. And then for those of you who join this TikTok live, I have a second screen looking at your list of the questions. So usually I have a certain topic I like to cover. Obviously, it will be U.S. immigration topics. And then I'll start with this, certain, topics that I like to discuss today. And then if you post any questions, thank you, Kevin and others who joining this live stream, then I will be answering any questions. So thank you so much for joining this live. Now, usually I do multi-platform live stream on Thursday and then Tuesday only for TikTok, same time, 5 p.m. Central Time. So let's get started. November 5th, 2024 is really important date, not only for upcoming presidential election, but those of you who have a pending keeping families together, parole in place, or interested in that case, as you know that because of the court, litigation lawsuit, then USCIS not allowed to approve any pending keeping families together, parole in place. They're gonna start the hearing on November 5th. Okay, Excellence Will ask the question. You submitted I-130. Okay, you mean you file by itself? It means that standalone I-130. It takes longer if you submit I-130 only. Cases go faster if you submit I-130 and 45 at the same time. I'm just curious why you submitted I-130. And then there's a multiple variation. You have a pending removal proceeding, right? And then number 2, then you have a waiver case, or number 3, you may be overseas, or you file I-130 petition for your spouse overseas, or family members. So if you're talking about immediate family member, I-130 for spouses and the parents and the minor child, it takes quite some time. There's a little bit of variation, but expect that it's gonna take more than 1 year. Okay. Authentic 921 has question about the CBP1. We don't handle CBP1, but if you pass CBP1, selected, and then you'll be entering the US for credible fear interview. That's something that we help you. So I'm gonna talk about this. If you have a friends detained by ICE, right? Whether trying to enter through the airport or through the border, and they need either a credible fear interview with the USCIS, or bond hearing, which is basically 2 ways to get released from, detention center. Call us. We handle nationwide. We're, very good at, helping you with a credible fear. Or if you fail the first one, there's a second opportunity called credible fear redetermination or bond hearing. So we can help you. But, the credible fear with the USCIS and bond hearing with the immigration court. And then even though I don't speak Spanish myself, I have a team members who can help you if your family members and friends speak only Spanish as well. Now, Catalyst asks really good question. So you're on F1 student visa, right? You got married to a citizen and you don't live together. Good point, right? Because probably you go to school of your choice, right? And then you like to finish because, if you change your school, then there's a compatibility issue with the coursework and all this. So I think that you have a good reason for long distance relationship. The key to your success would be to show all in-person meetings. So for example, in Catalyst, you may go to your spouse state and they visit, or he or she's come to visit you. Make sure that you document long distance relationship, and then we're highly successful with a long distance relationship cases as well, because like a situation like you, then you're not able to live together. Okay, let me drink some water. Now, circling back, I'm just waiting for more questions, and then if there's no questions, then I'll circle back to main topic. So, Trump immigration preview. Now, there's a lot of YouTubes and TikToks. What if Trump's come back? So far, what I did is that I review what happened under his first presidency between 2017 and 2021. For those of you who follow me, right, I was college history professor for 22 years. And then when you talk to any history professor or well-versed in history, they will tell you this: history doesn't repeat itself. Every time is different, but we can learn from the past. So I know that Trump and his allies have a plan called Plan 2025. But I'm going to talk about that later, not today. But, so far I talked about what happened when he was a president, what happened to immigration. So I've been making a lot of videos, and whenever I have a chance, I'll talk about them. Now, okay, so Johanna, right? Yona. Okay, so you have a employment-based green card case, your RN. Was it Schedule A or EB3? What you need to do is that, unlike any, marriage-based green card cases, employment-based is all about showing that you maintain your status. So for example, bring all the visa documents, right? All employment authorization documents, and then your RN, right? So you need to bring your RN licensing documents. Critical, because unlike marriage-based green card cases, which forgive unlawful employment and unlawful stay, employment-based, there's like 245K allows 6 months of unlawful, employment, but that's about it. You need to be very careful. Okay, you're on, F1 OPT, right? So make sure that you document, I-20s and then, EADs and employment. So it's all about, and then EB3, okay, it's not Schedule 3. Schedule A is EB3. Okay, good for you. So it's all about showing that you maintain your status from the moment that you enter the U.S. and up to interview, okay? Obviously, I assume that you don't have any criminal records and all this. And then, make sure that you need to show that you are working as an RN. So employer's letter, right? Employment verification document would be the good one too. So I'm waiting for questions popping up. But circling back to Trump's immigration, like I said, November 5th, there's an election. We don't know whether we're gonna know by the end of the day who's gonna be next president. But if you look at the polls right now, Harris and Biden's neck to neck. So it's important to know his immigration policy. I think that Harris' immigration policy will be similar to Biden, and then we have a good understanding of Biden's immigration policy. Perhaps I will make another video on Biden's immigration policy. Started rocky, slow, but at the end it became really good. I know that there's a lot of people complain that many managed to enter the border unlawfully, and then they were paroled into U.S. During some time, but not anymore. So It's not easy. A lot of people detain at the border or airport, and then I mentioned previously, many are detained, so they need to go through initial release process. It's not easy anymore. You need to survive the credible fear interview or a bond hearing, and they're not easy. So you need to work with attorney to get released. Okay, you're asking question about the prior to date, right? So one thing you need to be careful when it comes to employment-based interview and approval is that at the time of approval of your EB3, right? You say you have an EB3, your visa bullet, in EB3 visa final action date must be current. And then just look at your 45 receipt notice, and it's gonna show your prior to date. So just make sure that you check your prior to date in your 45 receipt notice, and then make sure that it's current for your EB3. Okay. Now, so circling back to Trump's immigration. Now, I told you that so far I talked about what happened under his first presidency, right? And then, I'm gonna talk about them today again. So then one of them, right? I have a lot of marriage green card case followers. We process many of them. And then, one possible, change may happen to marriage green card case would be USCIS may reintroduce I-944 public charge. It means that they're gonna look at the financial condition of U.S. citizen and foreign spouse. And then I made a TikTok video that having joint sponsor is a good, but it's not sufficient. Under Biden's immigration, we still have a public charge, but having a joint sponsor is sufficient. They still ask, how much you make, how much debts, liability you have, and education and all this, but it's not really important. It's just like in the 485 form, one of the sections is not important, but if Trump's come back, it'll be super important. And then I made a TikTok video and YouTube video that if you're low income, struggling, maybe just fresh out of college or you enter the US but your spouse not working, it can be tough. A lot of people didn't apply or couldn't apply when Trump was the president because of the public charge. Okay, so Aiken, okay, now, so the Aiken asked the question, I think that if the I-130 petitioner is a permanent resident, right? I-130 petitioner is a permanent resident, and then file I-130, but the foreign spouse overstay, and if Trump's come back, will this overstay foreign spouse could be deported? Possibility. I mean, this is what Project 2025 and mass deportation is all about. So I don't think that that's legal. It'll be challenging in court, but to make it simple, according to this new plan, Trump couldn't do it. He wanted to do it, but couldn't do it. But he may do it this time. Is that instead of putting visa overstay foreign nationals into removal proceeding by issuing a notice to appear (NTA), according to his new plan, they're gonna round up the people, right? Undocumented, whether you enter without inspection or you enter with a visa overstay without any criminal records. He's gonna round up the people, right? He said he's gonna deputize local police, National Guards, and ICE, and then just knock on the door 2 a.m., round it up, and put them into bus, and then put them into some kind of concentration camps. And then bypassing, right, removal proceeding, and they're gonna, move them outside the United States. So that's what he's trying to promise. That's what he's trying to do. Scary. I mean, it's scary, but I don't think it's legal. But there will be a lot of court battles. So a lot of litigations. Okay. SB. Okay. So you previously told us that your interview would be this week. So did you attend your interview, or is it tomorrow? And then how did it go? I'm just curious, SB. I really hope that it went well. So then SB attended marriage green card case interview this week. Oh, it's next week. Okay, next week. Okay. But thank you for joining. Just, join this live even after your interview. I enjoy talking to you, and then hope that, when in next week, SB just tell me that they approve your case same day. That's my wishes for you. Best wishes for you. Okay. So circling back to Trump, that's a mass deportation, basically, like knocking on the door, or, like if you remember when he was a president, you're told not to go to near airport, the court, police station, right? Because there are ICE agents waiting outside of the courthouse. And then some of them, not our cases, went for interview with the USCIS, and they were picked up after interview. So it can be scary. Like, they can be everywhere. They can be in public spaces. When you're speeding and you're caught and asked for documentation and you don't have it, you're put it into removal proceeding or concentration camp. By the way, the concentration camp is not the term that they use, but I think that that's what it is. They will be put it into concentration camp, and then they will be expelled without due process, without removal proceeding. That's the plan. That's what it meant, mass deportation. Okay, the catalyst. Okay, you asked question again. Thank you so much. Okay, so you say you're on F1 student visa, and it looks like you work without authorization, perhaps off campus, and then that's unlawful employment. But when they approve your case, right, your marriage green card case, it'll be forgiven. But you need to tell the USCIS that you work without authorization. If you hide it, then it's a fraud and misrepresentation, and then later you may need a 601 waiver. Your case will be not only marriage green card case, but you need to add a 601 waiver. So honesty, you need to be honest with the USCIS. If you hide it, then there will be a more difficult situation. And then work permit, F1. Now, you need to be careful with what you put, right? Just review 765 application. Good news is that they don't ask whether you work lawfully or unlawfully on your 765 application. So that much I can tell you. Okay. Oh, next Wednesday. Okay, next Wednesday. So have a good interview, SB. But it's a little bit slow today. Not many you asking question. Maybe you don't want to talk about Trump's immigration. Maybe that's what it is. Because prior to this, the title of actually, so then I scheduled this multi-platform live about Trump immigration. But when I started, I realized that this is marriage green card case Q&A. So even though I'm talking about Trump, I will be happy to talk about any immigration matters. So just let me know, okay? Just let me know. So unless you ask the questions, then I'll continue talking about Trump immigration. Okay, Awa. Yeah. So you ask, question about A64. Income figure for U.S. citizen spouse. Just look at total income line in 2023 tax return. So total income is the one they look. So then if you like to make sure that you don't go with a joint sponsor, right? You need to show that sufficient income for your total income 2023, and then also you're making enough money in 2024. I don't really talk about the figures, right, during this live. If you like to learn about it, on Google, type A64P as in Paul, and then they will tell you how much U.S. citizen spouse must make to avoid having a joint sponsor now. Okay. Yeah. So one of you, okay, asked the question here. Yeah, good question. Albert asked the question, your asylum is pending, but waiting for diversity visa lottery. Diversity visa lottery, I don't handle it. So I'm not expert. So I'm not going to tell you, sorry. We handle most cases, but we don't handle diversity visa. We don't handle EB-5, like investment, green card option. We don't handle those type of cases. So I'm not expert, okay? One of you asked question about I-9. If you work for most employers, they will do E-Verify. It's called I-9. And then usually USCIS will have that information. Your question is whether you claim to be U.S. citizen as a minor in your I-9 and whether USCIS will know or not. The question is that you need to be honest. Just like when you apply for green card, if you try to cover up, it may be revealed and discovered later. For example, when the Trump became president first time, he asked the USCIS to reopen many N-400 naturalization cases, and then ask the attorneys. They hire many attorneys to see whether there's any fraud, misrepresentation, and then many of them were denaturalized. You'll be surprised. I'm sure that there's some issues in terms of targeting certain individuals. As of today, we don't know what were the criteria. But if you claim to be U.S. citizen on I-9 at any point, and you apply for green card, and you need to include 45, you need to be honest. You need to tell the USCIS that you claim as a U.S. citizen when you work as a minor, and then you selected that you're a U.S. citizen falsely on your I-9, because otherwise you just you're inviting more problem later. Okay, yeah. Sunny asked, what is the normal processing time for 131? I wouldn't say that immigration policies and processes under Biden were fantastic. That's not the case. But everything went faster this year, right? Everything went really fast. But only exception would be 131 advanced parole. You waited about 1 year. You're almost there, but this is why we don't include 131 advanced parole when we process marriage green card cases, because nowadays, right, after August, cases take about 6 months to get approval, right, or interview schedule, but advanced parole takes longer. So, that's why we don't include it. But normal processing time for 131 advanced parole, unfortunately now, is about 1 year and more. But Sunny is almost there. Okay. I'm just reviewing the question here. Advice for 824 following to join, and then can you apply for another I-130? I mean, it's not clear what you're asking, so you may call us, right, for consultation. But it's kind of hard to tell. So sorry, Nepali, I'm not able to answer your question. Yeah. Well, I mean, user 3074 asked the question, right? Not all jobs, do require U.S. citizenship, and not all employers check your employment authorization. I mean, the E-Verify. So, for example, I work with University of Wisconsin, right? Because I work there as a professor, but I know the University of Wisconsin, they don't do E-Verify. So two issues, right? So the jobs in the U.S., right? Not all of them require U.S. citizenship. But for example, if you like to work for the FBI, CIA, then there is a U.S. citizenship requirement. But the conversation I had up to this point was to falsely claim to be U.S. citizen when you're not U.S. citizen. Because if employers E-Verify, right, there's 4 choices. Only 4 categories will be eligible for successful I-9. One is U.S. citizen. Number 2, permanent resident. Number 3 has a valid employment authorization like F1 OPT. The 4th one is that you're U.S. national. That's why we're talking. And then some people, right, foreign nationals, trying to find a job, very difficult to find jobs in Wisconsin, so they select that I'm a U.S. citizen and they got a job, but it, often backfires. Just don't do it. Okay, Sammy asks, what's after RFE? What is next? Depends, right? Did you get 693 medical exam RFE? Did you get relationship RFE? 864 affidavit of support, or supporting documentation information. Sometimes when you process your case without attorney, you forgot to sign or some page is missing. It depends. But sadly enough, right, when you got request for evidence, USCIS, they don't approve them right away. Usually it was like 30 days for them to move on to next stage, right? It can be a granting of the work permit or scheduling interview or approval. But, we noticed that they're kind of slow in terms of moving on to next stage. And obviously they don't tell you whether what you submitted is sufficient when it comes to your response for request for evidence. Okay, now people are catching up. Just give me 1 second here. Yeah, so the catalyst asks you open a joint bank account, but you don't have a statement yet. So you may submit a joint account application. When you open up a joint account, the bank will give you paperwork, and then make sure that you ask them to give you and your spouse debit cards, right? And then maybe wait for statement, because usually the statements generated toward the end of the month, and we're almost done with October. Okay, so that's my answer. Okay, so Dinesh asked the question. Okay, now so looks like you maybe have a CR1 spouse visa. Your I-130 was approved 2 months ago, and National Visa Center hasn't emailed you National Visa Center case number, invoice number. Sometimes it happens. Usually it's 30 days. I mean, just like hard to, predict. We have some cases that USCIS approve I-130, and the next day, literally next day, NBC email us NBC case number and invoice. Like, wow, this is super fast. But you need to expect to wait about 30 to 60 days to get those numbers. So you need to wait. Unfortunately, you need to wait. So sorry. Maybe just check your email. Okay, Sunny. Yeah. So Sunny, you submitted I-130, 45 together for your marriage green card case, and USCIS approved your I-130 only. It means that they believe that you and your spouse have a bona fide real relationship. Good for you. And then your 45 is still pending. So you say your I-130 was approved 6 months ago. You're still waiting. 45. Our cases usually, if the USCIS approve I-130 first, then usually 30 days later they approve 45. It's kind of, you're waiting quite some time. Call USCIS, customer service number, and then tell them that you're still waiting. Okay. Ooh, okay. See. Okay. So then, Sammy, you got A64RP. Did you get work permit already, or you have not? So, yeah. I mean, so it depends. Like if you receive, so sometime USCIS issue RP, request for evidence, and then they approve your work permit regardless. Or sometime, they need to get, satisfactory response, then they will give you work permit. So if you haven't received work permit, then getting a work permit is a good sign that your RP passed. But if you already received work permit, then next step would be approval or interview in your case. Okay, now I'm just reviewing. Okay, so just give me one second. El Mundo. I'm just reviewing the note here. Oh, just popping up. Okay, sorry, I need to scroll up. Okay, so your NBC case, was approved January of 2024. Yeah, I mean, looks like your spouse in Juarez, Mexico. I mean, will be interviewing Juarez. Usually 8-month waiting, you're almost there. So El Mundo, your waiting is almost ready. Okay, so they'll schedule an interview for you, and then you probably know that it'll be multiple appointments in Juarez, right? Medical, biometrics, document submission, and interview. And document submission and interview usually 2 appointments, 2 days, not the same day, so multiple days. Okay, Manu, okay, you submitted your green card application, everything, October 22nd, couple of days ago. Good for you. So what is next? Depends. If you submitted a G1145, then you'll get text message first from the USCIS, which is a good sign. If you didn't submit G1145, the next one would be they're cashing out your check. Or cashing out your check. So either text message or cashing out your check would be the next. Okay. The Sammy, you said no work permit. So then those of you who follow my conversation between Sammy and me, Sammy got A64 RFE and he submitted and still waiting. So the next step would be you'll get work permit once they approve your request for evidence. That's most likely. Okay. Shakina asked a question about consular process. It looks like it's a consular process, income level. Just look up A64P, right? A64P, Google up, P as in Paul, and then you need to look up what's the number required. I don't talk about the numbers during the live stream, so just you need to look it up. Okay, Assad, Assad. I mean, we do EB2 NIW, so I'm going to talk about it a little bit. NIW, National Interest Waiver. Typically, U.S. immigration, right? Immigration requires a sponsor, right? The marriage base, U.S. citizen or permanent resident sponsor, right? Employment base, you need a U.S. business sponsor. NIW is the exception because you accomplish so much, right? And then you're a rock star, and then say that I don't need a sponsor. I don't need to go through labor certification. Now, Assad, you said you have an exceptional military career. We may assess your case, eligibility. Call us, and then our team member will get some information to see whether you're eligible for NIW. But NIW is typically for those who have publications, citations. But Assad, perhaps you may have an exceptional military career. Possibility. Okay, maybe 3 more minutes, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. Okay, so I think that Manu said that I really like your videos, very clear and informative. Thank you so much. I do my best because there's a lot of TikToks. You don't need to watch me, but I like to do informative, accurate information as much I can. And then I enjoy doing live as well because I talk about this many times that I was a professor, and then I enjoy talking to my students. I don't teach anymore because I just don't have time. But at some point, I was full-time professor and then our attorney, and then it was too much. I had a wife and children and just too much. So I left the university and doing immigration work. But sometimes I miss this kind of interactions. So that's why I like to do 2 live sessions. Maybe later I will do it every day, but if I do it every day, then just too much. So twice a week. So find me Tuesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. Central Time. Okay. Okay. I love this. Okay, I'm gonna share with this. Hedy. So, you follow my videos. Okay, good. I mean, I'm a champion of developing and submitting strong evidence. No interview, and your case was approved. Congratulations. How long did it take before I lose you, Hedy? How long did it take? How long did your case take? So just let me know before you go. Now, I'm just reviewing. So I'll just wait for Hedy to tell us how long it took her case. And then I'll just wait for other people. I'm just reviewing this, okay? Okay, so then UGC asked the question, usually yes, 485 application is approved before 131, usually. By the way, I don't know whether still Hedy is with us or not, but one thing you need to be, submitted June, okay? So yeah, so between April and July, good time, faster case processing, congratulations. I'm just happy sort of missed, like time between April and July filing. The cases we filed between April and July, like, I talk about this, made a TikTok videos. I'm just, happy about them. Like cases approved in 17 days, 41 days, 47 days, less than 2 months, and less than 3 months. And then, Hedy, you submitted June, so about 4 months, which is good. Anything faster than 6 months when it comes to marriage green card case, you're here, right? Not overseas. It's good. You'll take it any day. Anytime between 3 months and then 6 months. Now, so I'll tell you this. I'm gonna wrap up this, session, and then I'm gonna finish this with this couple of points. Even though I give you good information, but that's not legal advice. I'm not your attorneys, okay? But I'm glad that Hedy, you got approval. Congratulations. I'm just happy for you. But I don't provide legal advice. Very detailed information, okay? And number two, today's topic was about Trump immigration. I'm gonna continue talking about that. So if you like to ask question about what it's like to be under Trump again next year and then 4 years, watch my TikToks and YouTube videos and join me on Tuesday and Thursday. Okay, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna see whether I'm gonna try one more sort of way to sort of streamline.
Returns.
Okay, let me see whether I can do this or not. Okay, it doesn't allow me to do so. Sad. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap it up. Have a good rest of the day. Election is coming November 5th, right? Not only election, but I talked this previously that, District Court of Texas will start merit hearing on keeping families together, parole in place November 5th, coming up soon. I will see you either next Tuesday,